they do not see standardization in a positive light. Because standards are, I was talking with Keith during the coffee break, and I very agree with what he said. Many times standards are inhibitors to innovation. And so we need to find different mechanisms that are faster, that are quicker, and that put the right people at the right time in the right place. And I think that one of the mechanisms that we can use is the Better Practice Guide, because at the very center of this mechanism are the people, are the experts. And so I want to encourage you all to join peers, because peers is not a research and innovation action. We are a coordination and support action. So our duty, our role is to encourage you to be on board, to get involved, to talk with us, to together discuss about the state of the art and come up with solutions that can enable you to make your daily work easier and quicker. I don't know if Patricia would like to say something on this?
No, I agree. What peers is doing is not doing pre-standardization. Pre-standardization is done within standardization bodies, but research can enable it. And what you are creating is a whole network, a whole ecosystem to enable pre-standardization and to make sure that we have the maximum of the people we need to engage in what should be done to support preparedness and response capabilities with standardization and with anything that is required. So yeah, enabling pre-standardization, this is very important. And what you're doing, gathering the knowledge, building up the tools, the demonstrators, the co-creation group, all this is enabling pre-standardization and just getting to know, okay, who are we? What do we want to do? Where do we want to go? What does it take? Let's do it. Okay.
Yes, thank you very much. I think it's, for me, it's very interesting to listen to you. I know that you are not always in agreement with these different aspects, so it's nice. It's why I thought that it roundtable was interesting. If we would all agree, it would be so boring, you know. So it's. Well, we are all all in agreement that standards are not fit to all purposes. In fact, when you are speaking about interoperable tools, for example, in operation, we are valuing very much standards because we need indeed to have this interoperability. When we are looking at methodological approaches, then it's a little bit more tricky because different member states may have different culture and may not accept to have a kind of common approach which are depending upon their capacities, their way of working and so on. They all agree that we need to share experience at EU level when we have, for example, to deal with a flash flood, a wildfire, and so on. We will share experience, but going up to standards, it's a little bit more tricky. So we need to. We all agree with that. So you speak about coordination mechanism. My question is first, who has to coordinate? And how can we help as European Commission? And I was wondering regarding practitioners. Do we have associations? Do we have agencies? Do we have ministries? Do we have member states committees that should be involved in a coordination? Because when we speak about coordination, it's not for the sake of speaking together in a very nice environment like we are today. It's really to have a kind of decision-making mechanism that is formal and made institutional and not depending upon persons. And this is quite tricky. This is quite difficult. So we are discussing this, but I'm not sure that at higher level they are discussing this. They are looking at this in the same way. So how can we influence this regarding the decision makers? And then, well, the second point, and I will give you the floor, and maybe if you have, yeah, of course, give you, about sharing recommendations. Strategy has made a lot of work on the same workshop agreement. I know that you are preparing a paper that will be published. it will be very interesting for us as Commission to also have some of your key recommendations discussed within peers, and you may, I hope that you will be able to discuss about this, to take this as a kind of position papers that will be possibly forwarded to DG Home, DG Eco, and so on. We need to have written recommendations that are agreed by many stakeholders, and you are part of them. So it's why I think that this discussion is important, to collect also views on what are the next steps forward from 2024 onward. And what we can do at DG Home level is to convey this type of recommendation. The direct link for us is our PC members, program committee. Member states, we inform the member states directly. But then in this case, we can also discuss with DG Eco. If they agree with the recommendation, their, I would say, entry to member states is a civil protection committee. Then there are different type of member states representatives. Then we may speak to UNDRR, the United Nations Disaster Risk Reduction, Sendai. They have also the member states being represented, signing the convention, the Sendai Framework for Action. So we may also say, okay, and then extending the dialogue, we may crystallize actually, I would say, a common view that might have the chance to become a coordination mechanism. Patricia, I see that you are...
This is what we do in standardization. Well, yes, who should be doing, who is in charge? It's very simple. It's the people who need the standards for their business, who should be the ones writing them. That's simple. So, of course, it depends on the topic. I hear industry, I hear research, I hear policymakers, whoever is needed for this particular thing that we need to standardize is requested. See, so it's the devil is hiding in the details. So that...
You have the capacity to write something.
You know what? I don't know why you keep making your life so complicated and your views so, it's so simple. If you knew that, when we explain how it works, people say, I didn't know it was so simple. I wonder why I didn't know that before. The value of standardization is not just about writing the standard. It's, don't you think, Keith? It's also the process. And you're just, joining projects, standardization projects, working groups, dealing with people who are in the same business, and you look at the situation and see, okay, we have this and this and this issue. How can we solve it? Well, we already have this one on risk management, this one on crisis management, but we definitely need something else. And we frame it and we go for it, and we use references that we have. Standards, there are lots of national standards or better practice everywhere that we use. We gather the knowledge we're missing. Sometimes we're missing knowledge. We wrote a very interesting standard on how to handle social media in emergency management, which is very much required. But we needed the actual expertise of people involved in communication. So we find them and we have them join. And then we end up with something that really means something, really has value to ease everybody's work. It is as simple as this. And it's not, you don't need to build, we should look at gaps and overlaps. Now, the standardization governance, you're not going to do it. The business has to be looking at it, you see? So if I have recommendations for the policymakers, I would say support the right people with the right means. There are issues, there are things that are blocking people to get engaged in standardization. First is that the usefulness of standards is not known enough and underestimated. So we have to raise awareness about this, and it's not just the EU, but it's also the standardization people. This is a very important work we have to do. We have to make them know how easy it is and get the information on how they should do it and where. We have to work on the business model of standardization, which is a disaster, which is counterproductive. We have to make EU aware that they're supporting the wrong people, you know, because you give money to people who are not engaged in standardization, who don't have a clue, or you think you are dealing with pre-standardization because you deal with SNB and SEN staff. Either than...
I would like to hear the room as well. But so,
oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you should support the experts doing the work. You know, when you want surgery, you ask the surgeon, not its secretary, and this is what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So this is why you don't end up with good...
you will continue later, please, because I want to give the possibility to people to react. In fact, when you say it's simple to write standard, it remembers me the kind of mermaid singing from my colleagues from DG Environment, who succeeded to recruit me to draft a directive, to have a directive adopted. Because they say, well, it's very simple. It took 6 years to be adopted. But okay, so that's another. I would like to open the floor for questions, remark anyway, because it is also your turn, and then maybe, Patricia, you will come back to what you have to say. Zoltan first. The lady was first. Yvonne, please. Could you please have,
Hello, Yvonne Herrera from Antonio Social Research. I have a question and a wish because we are involved in proposals and projects, and you have a lot of experience and do's and don'ts. So I wonder if we can follow up with a webinar or have a list of when you are doing projects, don't do this, and these recommended things, that it will be very useful to have on board for the wider community if you think that is a good idea.
Could you repeat? I didn't right understand.
I wonder if we can follow up with this. If you can tell us one thing to do, one thing not to do, and we can follow up with a webinar. But there's a lot of lessons learned here.
Yeah. It comes back to frustration, which was expressed by Tom, that we don't have too much time for dealing with details. I would like to stress that here is quite a networking event where we do not have the time to go in depth. But I would encourage you, if you have indeed the need to have one day meeting on specific things, you have projects, propose some online or whatever workshops, and then we'll be following this up. You know, this is not the place where we can indeed discuss in depth. Otherwise, we do that in coffee break or with good music and beer and wine in the evening, but not during the day. Who was speaking first? But I take your point, Yvonne, very strongly. Zoltan, please.
What are the 4 levels of standardization? And at which level do you need the normative standardization to actually have a standardization body to write a piece of paper?
What are the 4 levels?
What are the 4 levels of standardization?
Well, I don't see 4 levels of standardization. What do you mean?
Based on ISO, if you don't mind, I will answer the question. We have 4 levels in standardization. That's what I'm doing. Compatibility, interchangeability, commonality, and reference. And you only need that piece of paper, a standard, a CWA, on the 4th level, reference. All other 3 is born from innovation, and it is represented by a good product or a good service. Because being a good product will make a standard. It will be used commonly, widely, even if there is no paper behind it. Everyone starts to use it. And then the industrial players will find the means to standardize it because it will be important for them money-wise. So I think that's what I don't know, do you agree with that? Because I think we should focus on landscape, knowing the products, and the services. That's the important key.
I think we are speaking of different things, because here you are speaking about patents, not really standard. Here we are speaking about written standards, which are adopted by SEN CENELEC or ISO, which is something different than, I would say, business-related standards. They are not standards. Do they write standards?
Yes, this is what I was saying. It's what you said is harmonization or better practice. Those are standards. They are written standards.
But who is adopting these standards?
Well, my TC, ISO TC 292, we have an excellent standard on emergency management, a very successful one on crisis management. I don't understand why you keep developing CWAs and things on standards that we already have.
Yeah, but it's not the industry itself. It's not a company would develop a good product. How? I develop a standard, it will make my business. There is an organization that will adopt a standard based on the product. Sorry for my naive question.
First, the market will adopt the standard. So it doesn't matter what the standardization body thinks is good for a standard. If you cannot plug it into the wall because it doesn't have, everywhere in the country or in other countries. No, the standards start with a technical solution which is widely adopted or a service which is widely used.
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, please.
Just a comment on this. To give you the example, if we have the geo-information exchange in crisis management, we have the de facto CERIS standard. All players are using this, so you de facto have a standard.
Okay.
And to follow up on your question, I think we can identify a best practices which could be written if needed, which then would become the reference of how this is being used.
Yes, and we have, there are different stages of standardization. We usually begin with guidelines, better practice, and then we move to requirements because people are much more using it, and it's structuring the market. And then we can, if it's a good idea, move to certification needed.
Thank you.
And we can make very, very strong progress on processes with that. We can settle coordination. We can take up innovation because we would have aligned processes.
Thank you.
It's the basement of
We
the
have
house.
little time. I would like short questions, short responses. Punchy responses, short, because if we all speak 10 minutes, we cannot make it, because it's already 12:15. In 15 minutes, I close the shop. Tom.
Just a couple of comments. The first comment is CENELEC. I'm not sure do they support CWA mechanism in our area. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think they do.
What do you say, CENELEC?
They don't support development.
Well, they have worked with DG GROW to have a memorandum regarding the research links with SEN workshop agreement. If they don't support SEN workshop agreement, I'm a monk.
In the field of security, it's excluded.
No, they are supporting that, clearly.
Okay, so that's my understanding, and I appreciate the clarification on this, to be careful on that one. The second thing is, when you talk about standards going forward, I think you need to talk about standards and better practice guides, because they are now, that's coming to life, and people will have choice. This is the first thing we say, will have choice. The better practice guides will be driven and empowered by the practitioners. Technology moves quickly. The people who are involved move quickly with it. The standardization process can be slow. If they want to move from better practice to standards at some stage, they can. But the ownership goes back very much so to the practitioners. And that's the way the better practice guide will go forward, and it'll be low cost.
Yeah. It's also my understanding, and it's why I find it interesting. We changed the way in the research programming. We did not speak about only support to standardization. We said support to harmonization, yes. Harmonized guidelines, because we know that in some practitioner sectors, they would not like to go to standards, but they need to have harmonized approaches. Yeah, thank you. You had your time, Tom. Thank you very much. John.
Just a quick one. Sometimes we've got the ability to solve our own problems, or at least to start solving our own problems. Now, I think most projects have practitioners in them. I think practitioners would despair at the conversation that's taking place at the moment because they just wouldn't understand it. All the talk about structure and processes is really hard to grasp. But in this room, we have projects that all have practitioners in them. We even have an SSRI project in Olivia here with Direction that is designed to pull together the practitioner organisations, the FEU and the CTIF and a range of others, that can actually engage with the standardisation or harmonisation question. I guess it's more of a statement than a question, but please comment. Peers has, I think, got a bit of a duty to actually harvest that resource that is represented through CERIS. They're sat in the room now, and use that to drive the harmonisation agenda forward.
Do you want to react? Let's speak.
Thank you, John. Yeah, exactly. As I was saying, peers is a coordination and support action. So we need to have the people engaged. And I take the opportunity also to give evidence to the work that John is leading in peers, which is the demonstrator groups, because we identified 3 topics that need standardization. But in order to approach standardization, we need to understand, and I think that many interventions today spot the light on this, that standardization is just the final destination of a journey. Because if we don't understand the problem, and if we don't have the right people involved, and if we don't foster discussion, we cannot end up with standards. We can harmonize, we can make systems, procedures, protocols interoperable, but if we don't have these 2 things complementing each other, we cannot have standards. So I think that, I fully support this process, and I want to invite you to a webinar just to complement what Yvonne said. I think that CERIS is a great plateau for us in order to engage with you and to give evidence to you of the work that we are doing. And I'm wrapping up because I know that we don't have time. And on the 12th December, we have a webinar when we exactly will talk about how peers can use standardization and touch base upon also pre-normative standardization to enhance CBRNE preparedness and response capabilities. So it will be a webinar online in the morning. You can find some save the dates outside of this room. So please feel free to register and join us because it's very important for us.
Thank you, Beatrice. I want to hear Janice.
Well, I've heard the many different opinions, and to my perspective, the main subject is, and let's say the main purpose of the envisioned coordination mechanism is to find an efficient way to link research to the standardization domain, or somehow establish a communication link between those 2.
You're perfectly right.
One medium that does have, let's say, specific characteristics, technical characteristics, because it's there. It's an official type of document. I mean, provided, let's say, option to select is this CEN workshop agreements that let's say, that provide a first link in the chain that may lead or may not lead in the end to standards or future things. It's a reference that could be used for further involvement. So the key, let's say, a key aspect of this coordination mechanism is to find ways to take optimally advantage of this medium in order to ensure A, complementarity, B, knowledge dissemination, because after all, those documents are produced through the collaboration of possibly many experts across many different countries that co-sign the document, because, I mean, it could be a pity not to take into advantage of something that is produced and could support future standardization efforts. So all this is and of course, CWAs are just a medium. There are additional ones, but we could and should take into advantage the whole spectrum of available tools. That's my opinion. For sure, we need to ensure this complementarity, there's no overlap, and so on. Methodologically wise, I've heard many things in this room this morning that we have also taken into consideration methodologically. I mean, ask the stakeholders, I mean, to outline the problem statement. What do they need? we could take other past project results into revalidating our efforts. For example, we have used the RAF tool, the Risk Assessment Framework, from the Resistant project to revalidate the impact, the expected impact for some pre-standardization outcomes that could be produced. Are they needed? What is the expected impact of this? So there's a whole spectrum of activities that would constitute or could be considered for the mechanism to establish a solid basis for proceeding.
Thank you, Janice. Further remarks, input. Wow. Yeah, but I want to hear people here because I know that you will speak a lot, Patricia.
I can make it
Yeah, please do it very short. Please, Tom, okay. Yeah, please.
Thank you. No, my question is more a reflection. I understood that any of you is on a specific business where you try to standardize something. And I'm thinking about, okay, you have a practitioner on board, but have you ever considered to have the key people that are not only practitioners, but also people from member states, so political, policy makers, and also governmental people?
Could you tell who you are, because it's important.
Sorry, my name is Mariangela Pelliccia. I work for DG ECO in the UCPL mechanism. Okay. So involve them at the early stage of your project, even before starting to the application.
It's my mantra, you know. I'm pushing that since years, you know, and years to have this preliminary stage where you have indeed the policy DGs and the practitioners consulted before we engage into development of events and workshop agreement, and then validating downstream to check that a SEN workshop agreement can indeed become a possible pre-standard, because this the jobs then after of policy DGs are to write mandate to SEN-SENELEC via DG GROW. This is a route, in fact, that we may follow, but it's not sufficiently coordinated. Patricia, I see that you're again.
No, but that is a very good question indeed. Thing is, standardization is a bottom-up process. It is an expert work of the people involved in the business. So how do you cope with this with a top-down responsibility that is in the hands of the policymakers? Well, it depends on what area you are standardizing. I deal with standardization policies and their implementation, social and citizen security. So the way to do this is to have the people in charge. So the experts there will belong to the government. They are actually very experienced firefighters, policemen, or whoever who are who knowledge is trusted and who are making something that works for every country, and the validation, of course, is automatic. For instance, my Ministry of Interior shares a national committee. They know what's going on. They trust me. They trust the experts for what we're doing. So that's the way we don't have to validate.
Patricia,
it is a bottom-up process.
You see, Patricia,
Yep.
you see you're speaking to her. Okay, I would like actually to give the last word to the audience and then terminate with you in 30 seconds. What is your dream? What do you dream? Christmas Father will arrive very, very soon. What is your dream for research and standardization for the next 2 years? 30 seconds or even less. You know, two key words. Who would like to say a few words? Tom, I know that you have been frustrated because I cut you. Please,
thank you, Philip.
Give your gift. Yeah.
I just want to make a comment. On the No Fear project, the method way we applied it, we had a number of webinars, experts at the webinars. We analyzed their points, and once we analyzed their points, we took it to CEN-TCV9, and they, working with the society, yes, there's a gap. Now there's a new standard coming out based on PPEs, use of PPEs in emerging medical services facilities. So that's a new standard. That's a method. We didn't do a CWA. We went directly, talked to the experts, and then we followed CEN-TCV3. They said, yes, there's a gap there, and then we're working on it. So that's a brand new way of doing it, but it's easy and simple, as Patricia was saying.
Your wish is that participate in the webinars that are organized by peers, and you will be sharing ideas around what you have just said. Is it what I translated, your wish?
Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho.
Thank you,
Thank you. Ho, ho, ho. Next one, please, Olivier.
Yes, good morning. My wish, if you ask for a wish, is that if firefighters, responders participate in some standardization activity, if they are enough motivated, if they are enough connected also with their national standardization body to sit in the TC, which is dealing with the topics they want to address. So if they overcome all these barriers to have an active role in the standardization, I would like that there is a sort of mechanism so that the standards are available for the responders for free or accessible with a sort of mechanism so that maybe the national authority, Ministry of Interior or other, they pay a subscription which is reasonable and compatible with the level of implementation. And at the end, every station, every brigade in the country have access to the standard so that the standard will be used and implemented. At the moment, you have to pay 250 euro to have a standard on topics that is a daily business of the firefighter. So I think that we need a big reform for the access of the standards. So
Well,
this is my wish.
This is ho, ho, ho. This is a big wish, but I fully agree with you, Olivier. Next one, next wish.
A very short addition to the previous one. Let's make these standards formulated in the recommended sentences for procurement. Because then the people have a source of taking the sentences directly into their procurement activities. You are procuring similar things, fitting to the standards. You are setting a de facto standardization.
Thank you. Does someone monitor what Billy is because there was a chat, but Terenza monitored. I know that you are here somewhere, Billy, online, but we cannot really listen to you. Maybe you will be kind enough to send some written remarks after the meeting. So I continue with a wish. Ho, ho, ho. Who? No, but you are at the end. You are bypassing your turn. No, nobody. Yeah, Zoltan. Very short, very quick.
I wish that everyone before starts to draft a standard, initiate a CV or anything, come and check the landscape on its field and check all product services and existing standards. So just they do the homework before they start.
Okay, thank you. So we are very close to the end. Yeah, 29. So you see, you have 1 minute to share in 3. So another one? Yeah. Very quick. You have 10 seconds.
Don't worry, I'm very quick. My wish is that we can deliver from the expert side very practical solution how to support in a very practical manner policymakers. So we will try to do our best to deliver such solutions in order that they are simple and clear in the contents.
Ho. Thank you very much. So Patricia and then Janice, and you will be terminating. Very quick.
So very quickly, the policymakers, the people who need the standards should give a little money to support the project management. It's not expensive. Someone to handle a standardization project. This is a big problem of the business model of standardization. We need these people because the topics, we have them, the free standardization, we have them. The problem is the money doesn't go where it should. We need the money to be given to the standardization. It's much cheaper than a CWA.
Thank you, Patricia. Janice.
Yeah, well, my wish would be, since many of us are engaged, or all of us in the research and innovation domain, and since there are a lot at stake and many room, let's say, for improvement and optimally exploiting project results, I would wish for a solid communication link, bridge between the R&D domain, and the standardization domain, which also brings along industry and so on, and all the key stakeholders.
Thank you, Janice. Beatrice, I know that Billy is in line. So, Billy, you have 30 seconds to express yourself. You see how lucky you are.
Good afternoon, everyone, Felipe and everyone in the audience, and the fantastic presentations and discussions today. It's been really enthralling. I've taken notes throughout, but one thing that has come to the fore in my mind is that we really need to engage the people on the ground who are implementing the standards to have real buy-in for those standards and implementation. So it was great to hear all those discussions, and I think for me, that was a common thread running through all of the panel discussions and presentations this morning. Thank you, Felipe.
Thank you, Billy. Thank you very much. Beatrice, you have the delicate task to close this session.
Wow, okay. First of all, my wish list, I would say. Well, I want to describe myself as a facilitator in the projects I've been working on. So I truly hope that with peers, the work that I've been doing together with the great team and passionate team I have with me is to bring the people together with us. But, you know, it is not enough. We need to have a business model in place because, as I was saying, there are too many interests at stake. So we need to consider all the spectrum of interests in order to come up with solutions. So I truly hope that it won't be a solution. I know that maybe we will need time, also after peers, in order to get with tangible results. But I truly hope that the project will serve for the scope.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all. Thank you to participating in this front table. Thank you to the audience. I think it has been a very, very fruitful discussion. Please, if you have any ideas, any recommendations, any remarks, send that in writing. We will be very happy to receive your feedback. There will be a report prepared by Billy, but so we will have this is not an end. We will continue reflecting. So thank you very much. There will be maybe, as you have understood, peers is now focusing more on CBRNE aspects, and because crisis management was too large spectrum. On the 21st of March in Strasbourg, we will have a full day on CBRN, and we will actually have a part on discussion on standardization. If you wish to have more in-depth discussions on, for example, coordination, please don't hesitate to suggest webinar, online seminars are well as possible. I would say events related to your projects, it's always possible. Well, it has been a big marathon, these 4 days. I hope that you enjoyed. The next one will be, as I mentioned already yesterday, on the 5th to the 7th of June. On the 5th, I will be discussing with colleagues from DG ECO. We have agreed that we'll have a common session with the UCP, the Union Civil Protection Mechanism Forum, that will take place on the 4th and 5th. So we'll have this kind of day where we will be having sessions, and maybe I need to discuss with you, Pekka and Teresa, about the possibility to have exhibition, the project participating in the exhibition. And then we'll continue here on the 6th and 7th. And close the shop, actually, in my case, you know, on the 7th, there will be a big party, not really to CERIS, but in the evening. So if you want to stay the weekend in Brussels, you will be welcome. You have seen that yesterday we have special guests from the CERIS who are singing. If you want to make some theater piece, whatever, you will be welcome, but I will write you before. So thank you very much. Have a very nice journey. Now the lunch is open. As asked, please take your stuff with you because we will need to be online at 1:30 here with DG ECO. Teresa, thank you very much, Teresa and your team. You have made a tremendous job. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I would like also to thank the Bouche à Oreille, the team here at the sound, made also a fantastic job. Thank you very much regarding the streaming. It has been very efficient, very, I would say, fluid. You have something to say? No, you wanted to? No? So, thank you very much. Have a good lunch. We meet in the lobby. You have something to say? Ah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I meet you in the lobby. Thank you.